The story opens with Aya stealthily setting explosives against a wall. Before she can complete her task, her friend stumbles upon her actions and desperately urges her to abandon the plan. Their argument is cut short when sirens blare in the distance. The police have arrived. With no time to think, they make a frantic attempt to escape. As Aya finds herself cornered by armed officers demanding her surrender, she instinctively scans the thoughts of one of them. He's ready to pull the trigger the moment she moves. Acting fast, she channels her powers, launching a heavy metal object with a surge of energy, striking one officer down. 15 years later, Aya now leads a secluded life with her teenage daughter, Aurora, who has inherited her extraordinary abilities. Unlike her mother, Aurora is eager to experience the world beyond their isolated existence. But Aya enforces strict rules to keep her safe: no friends, no outings, and homeschooling. Their days are filled with training, discipline, and lessons on the dual nature of their powers, both a gift and a danger. Aya repeatedly urges Aurora to study a book that could help her understand her abilities, but Aurora shows little interest. Above all, Aya drills one essential rule into her: if ever captured, she must stay silent, resist mental intrusion, and endure for as long as possible. One evening, as Ada steps out to gather supplies, Aurora seizes the opportunity to break free. She sneaks out to meet Asaya, her secret friend. They share music, laughter, and even an exchange of jewelry. But when she spots her mother's car approaching, panic sets in. She rushes home, barely making it back to the couch in time to feign innocence. Aya, however, is no fool. A flicker of suspicion crosses her face as she subtly reads Aurora's thoughts, confirming her worst fear. Her daughter had been meeting someone. When confronted, Aurora insists she just wants privacy, but Aya remains firm. Upon realizing that this secret friendship had been going on for a while, she makes a decisive call. They are leaving the house on Friday. The next day, Aya hands Aurora a heavy box and commands her to move it using only her abilities. If she truly believes she's ready for the outside world, she must prove it. Aurora concentrates, her mind steady as the box begins to rise. But midway across the room, her focus wavers, and the object crashes to the ground. Without hesitation, Aya demonstrates her own mastery of their powers, emphasizing the grave dangers of losing control. One mistake could lead to disastrous consequences. Frustrated, Aurora lashes out, claiming she's tired of her mother's rules, tired of her powers, and tired of the life she never chose. Later that evening, Aya attempts to mend the rift between them. Meanwhile, Aurora, defiant as ever, secretly dresses up and sneaks out once more to meet Asaya. This time, he leads her to an abandoned site where his friends are waiting. As they greet her, something feels off. She instinctively peers into their minds, and what she finds unsettles her. Beneath their friendly facades lurks distrust, and something far darker. Panic grips her. A storm brews inside her mind, growing beyond her control. Asaya, sensing something is wrong, tries to calm her, but it's too late. A surge of raw energy erupts from within her, and in an instant, Asaya is gone, lifeless. Horror-stricken, Aurora barely has time to process what she's done before an unknown force engulfs her completely. And then, she vanishes. Far away, Ida jolts awake, an ominous feeling washing over her. Something is wrong. Rushing to Aurora's room, she finds the window wide open. Reaching out with her mind, she tries to connect with her daughter. But there's nothing. A cold void. Without hesitation, she grabs a few essentials and disappears into the night. Aurora awakens in an unfamiliar place, her body weak with exhaustion. She's alone in a locked room. Panic, she rushes to the door, trying the handle. It won't budge. Desperate, she closes her eyes and reaches out to her mother. Silence. A man enters, startling her. He offers her new clothes, assuring her she's safe. He claims to be like her, someone with abilities. Later, he returns, introducing himself as Derek. Aurora, still shaken, insists she never meant to hurt Asaya, that she lost control. Derek reassures her that her power is extraordinary, and that she unknowingly kept him from reading her mind. He calls it a surge, a dangerous phenomenon where uncontrolled abilities take over, warning that if she doesn't learn to resist it, she will never be able to master her powers. Aurora refuses to use them anymore, but Derek corrects her. It's not about stopping, it's about learning control. He promises to handle the situation with Asaya, and introduces her to Gloria, who will help her settle in. Later, Derek returns with a different tone. He questions Aurora about her abilities. She lists mind reading, telekinesis, and projections. Hesitating, she admits she's always wanted to learn teleportation. Derek dismisses the idea. It's far too advanced even for him. But his demeanor shifts. Without warning, he invades her mind. The world blurs, and suddenly she is no longer in the facility. She's home. Except it's not real. Derek is pulling memories from her mind, studying them. His voice is steady but firm. He knows she doesn't live alone. Panic surges through Aurora as Derek presses further, forcing images into her mind, distorting thoughts, pulling fragments of reality apart. She tries to resist, but the pressure is unbearable. Her mother's face flashes in her mind, and Derek catches it instantly. With chilling certainty, he confronts Aurora with a truth she wasn't prepared for. He claims her mother is a murderer, revealing images of the officers from that fateful night. He tells her that if she helps them find Aya, she'll finally have the freedom she's always wanted. Aurora listens but refuses. Meanwhile, Aya races down the road, haunted by memories of the past. The night the officers died replays in her mind. Time is running out. Back at the facility, Aurora sits alone in her locked room. Frustrated, she turns to the television, hoping for a distraction. But as familiar images play, memories flood back, moments of warmth, of love. Her anger boils over. With a single surge of power, the screen shatters, glass spraying across the floor. Not long after, a team of attendants enters to clean up the mess. Aurora watches them closely. The moment they step out, she makes her move. Using a shard of glass she had hidden, she jams the door's mechanism just before it locks, leaving it slightly open. Once the coast is clear, she slips out, moving swiftly through dimly lit hallways. And then she sees them, others like her, locked away in this place. Aurora's escape has only just begun. Some were consumed by despair, others burned with rage. Suddenly, alarms blared. Aurora attempted to flee, but the attendants were already on her. Rough hands seized her arms, dragging her back as she struggled. She was hauled to her room, the door locking behind her. At the bus stop, Aya sat waiting, her fingers tapping anxiously against her knee. She had told Aurora to meet her here. She would wait. She would always wait. Back at the facility, Aurora's mind raced. Derek stepped into the room, eyeing her carefully. He questioned how she had escaped, suggesting she must have developed teleportation abilities. She shifted the conversation, pressing him about the people locked away in the dark corridor. Derek stated that they were psionics, too dangerous to be allowed to roam free. Keeping them here was necessary for everyone's safety. Aurora wasn't convinced. Derek then offered her a choice. If she revealed her mother's location, things could change. Aurora refused. His patience ran out. Reaching into her mind, he forced his power upon her. Aurora resisted, the pressure in her skull mounting as she pushed back. Derek exhaled sharply in frustration before leaving. The attendants took over, dragging her down the same dark hallway before locking her inside. Then, Derek invaded her mind again. Reality shifted. She was home. Isaiah stood before her. She pleaded for Derek to stop. Isaiah grasped his neck, reliving the moment he was stabbed. His eyes burned with blame. Before she could react, Derek's power pulled her deeper. She was inside her favorite TV show. Isaiah appeared at the door holding a single flower. Just as she reached for it, his head shattered, blood splattering onto her face. The presenter turned to her, emotionless. "Tell us where Aya is." The torment would end if she complied. Derek pushed harder, twisting her mind. The moment the memory surfaced, he had his answer. At the bus stop, Derek teleported in, finding Aya waiting. She pleaded with him to take her instead and spare Aurora. He dismissed her, saying she was of no use. He spoke of a future where they ruled the facility together. Back inside, Aya had already begun tearing through Derek's men, cutting down anyone who stood between her and Aurora. She found her daughter and shattered the chains holding her. At the bus stop, Derek's expression shifted. He realized he had been deceived. The explosion erupted inside the facility. Aya and Aurora made their escape, but Derek quickly teleported back. He ordered an immediate lockdown. Metal barriers sealed the exits. His men spread out, hunting for them. Through their psychic link, Derek's voice echoed in Aya's mind. "I know you're here." Aya and Aurora concealed themselves, using their power to turn invisible. Derek still found them. He struck fast, forcing Aya into a brutal fight. Aurora watched. She pulled herself up, focused, and gathered her strength. Suddenly, she teleported them away. When they reappeared, Aya turned to her. "How did you do that?" Aurora, still shaken, could only respond, "I had to." A nearby car sat unlocked. They got inside and drove off. Aya's grip on the wheel tightened. You should have never left the house. Aurora cut her off. Now isn't the time. Derek told me something about the killings. Aya allows Aurora to step into her memories, revealing the truth of what happened 15 years ago. Aurora watches as Aya uncovers Derek's true intentions. He was hunting down anyone with powers, regardless of whether they posed a threat. Realizing the facility was beyond saving, Aya had attempted to destroy it before it became something even worse. As Aurora relives the memory, she sees the events unfold firsthand. Derek appeared when the police arrived, killing 2 officers without hesitation. When another officer showed up, he eliminated him just as ruthlessly. Then he turned to Aya and revealed his plan. Since the officers had only seen her, she would take the blame while he walked free. Back in the present, Aya admits she hid the truth because she never wanted Aurora to bear that weight. She only wanted to protect her. Apologizing, she tells Aurora she never meant to make her feel weak. Aya then suggests they move to Portland. Derek will never stop chasing them, but they can still try to stay ahead. However, Aurora has had enough of running. She picks up a glass jar from the table and hurls it to the ground, shattering it. A message sent loud and clear. Now, Derek knows exactly where to find them. With steady steps and a clear mind, Aurora walks toward him. Aya follows, her instinct screaming that this is a mistake. Derek tries to persuade Aurora, insisting they could rule together, that their powers make them unstoppable. But Aurora remains unmoved. Calmly, she tells him she isn't interested. She firmly asks him to let them go. Derek refuses. Sensing what's about to happen, Aya pleads with Aurora to stop before things escalate. But Aurora stands her ground, telling her mother to trust her. She summons every ounce of power within her. Derek immediately senses the shift and does the same, preparing to face her head-on. Then, in an instant, Aurora reaches out, barely grazing him. Moments later, Derek materializes in the middle of a street. A car barrels toward him, and before he can react, impact. As everything settles, Aurora turns to Aya, explaining that she has the power to shape her own future. It's her choice how to use it. And with that, the story ends.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.